Happy UFC 328 Eve along with Will Brewer. I am Colby Daniels as we get ready to preview the most anticipated fight card of 2026. Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland in the main event. It's UFC 328 from Newark, New Jersey. Will Brewer, my man, we talked about it last week. The build to this fight throughout this week was going to be exceptional. I look back and I think everything that we were anticipating this week would be, it certainly was, and then some. What is your hype level as we inch closer to UFC 328 finally getting underway?
I was already hyped for this card because this card is stacked. It's loaded. There's a lot of good fights, but you add in this element of just bad blood, this bitterness, and then just the fight itself. The main event is it's great. The clash of styles that we're going to see. Then, of course, you add in the bad blood. You add in the history, the training history, all this stuff that they've been talking about. The presser. The presser was outstanding. I'm sure we'll get into it, but after seeing all this build throughout this week, man, I'm 10 for sure, easily. Like, this is the most anticipated card of the year. I haven't been this excited for a fight in a while, man. Like, this is the one.
What percentage of the dislike between these guys do you think is authentic, and what percentage of it do you think is just the theatrics of fight building?
Now, there's cases where the theatrics are really take control of it, and then you're just like, is this even real? But I think there's an element of this. There's some sorts of intensity that you just can't fake, and I don't think that these two are faking it by any means. I think you could just tell by the looks on their faces when they're at this press conference. I mean, Sean Strickland is, we know how animated that he is, but like, you can tell that there's a little extra something. There's an element of dislike that he has for Khamzat. There's an element of dislike that Khamzat has for Sean. I think that most of this is definitely dislike. But then, of course, I think the theatrics, there's a little bit of it, and that just adds to it. It's not anything bad like we've seen in past fights.
Before we get into the press conference and then start breaking down the actual fight, which I am like wildly immersed in, figuring out all the different aspects and strategies. And I'm very intrigued by this thing outside of the emotional element that exists between these two guys. What did you make of the training video stuff? And obviously these guys having some sort of history.
The video itself, all I saw was just like these two just kind of going around. It seemed like it was just a little bit of a warm up. You can't really get too much of it. I think I would think more of it if there was like actual like live sparring. It just seemed like they were just like, you go, I go, let's just get, move, warm up type thing. I didn't really take much from it, but there's stuff that happened in training that both these guys know about, that both these guys know exactly what happened. Somebody won, somebody lost. Maybe there was a time when Sean Strickland got the better of Khamzat, and that's what he was talking about in the presser. But I'm sure there was times Khamzat submitted Sean Strickland, and that's just the way it is. And I'm sure that both guys know somebody has the upper hand when those training sessions happened, and I think we're going to find out on Saturday.
Yeah, I would also say that doesn't necessarily mean whatever happened there is going to happen on a big stage under bright lights in an arena full of people, and like the real thing is different than I think that setting. But it does certainly in some way, I think, give each guy a certain mentality of what the other guy is bringing to the table.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I'm just saying, like, if Khamzat was able to submit Sean Strickland 9 out of 10 times,
right?
Like, I'm sure, like, when we get to the fight, that scenario, that situation is probably most likely going to happen. Now, Sean Strickland has, he's really good with his takedown defense. So that might not happen. There's a lot of emotion that Khamzat has. So it might play out different when we get into the fight and the fans, like you said. But I just think there's things that happen in the training room that definitely will translate.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the press conference. There's a lot to break down from this. First of all, why were the flyweights even there? Like, can we be real? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but
Yeah.
why were the flyweights even there? I mean, like, these two guys are going back and forth, and then somebody is like, hey, like, Van, hey, Tyra, like, I have a question. And I'm like, no, what are we doing? Why are we diverting away from the giant train wreck that is Strickland and Chimaev? Like, it was almost like you're gonna send it to this like alternate programming, and everybody viewing is like, I'm intrigued by that fight too, but that's not the programming I tuned in for. It kind of almost set that up for failure because these guys are going to talk on a day that everybody is anticipating. One of the more wild exchanges between two main eventers in UFC history.
Yeah, I felt bad for them. Especially they're so young. Like Van's 24, Tyra's 26. This is their first time probably in this type of setting with a main event with so much bad blood, and then they're just like kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
And then of course I think out of respect the media is going to ask them questions, but like nobody really wants to hear from them. Like we're excited for the fight, it's going to be great, but sure. Yeah, they were put in a really really bad spot because like I think Van was really trying to like I'm going to hurt him, what can you say like that's really going to like interest the fans when like we have this like you said, this train wreck over here. It was just a bad spot for the flyweight.
Like, I'm excited for that fight, but like when he's talking, I'm like, dude, come on, like hurry up. And that's just mentally where I'm at because of what else is happening there. Like there's just such a bright spotlight on this main event that to me just seemed like a poor decision to bring them up there with those two guys because anything that diverts away from the main event is going to feel like, what are we doing here, guys? All right. So these two guys, on one hand, I like, we all love when we feel like there are two guys that are going to fight that genuinely don't like each other, right? That adds a fire to any matchup that, is just unmatched. I loved hearing the two guys go back and forth. There was at one point though, that I'm just like, did somebody like copy and paste like the same exchange like 30 times because it's just like both guys chirping, saying the exact same thing over and over and over. But like they don't like each other, and I love the fact that Dana's just standing up there with that giant grin on his face.
Oh man, Dana was probably the one that I watched the most because like he just loves this. I haven't seen Dana this animated, this like I love this in a long time. Like it's kind of just felt like he's been going through the motions, and but he seems genuinely excited about this, and of course I understand why. But I think with Sean and Hamzat, they were saying the same thing. I think they were just both screaming at each other. Neither one of them were listening to each other. They were just trying to over talk each other. So they were just saying the same stuff. Like Sean Strickland kept saying, like, I told you, meet me at 5 p.m. at this time at this location, and you just said, oh, it was a misunderstanding. And then Hamzat's just screaming at him, just yelling at him. And I don't think either one of them really knew what the other one was saying. And it was, yeah. I mean, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I loved it.
All right, give me your thoughts on the face-off.
I mean, I want to say, like, what did we expect to happen? But, like, I feel like they really had this face down, like, properly, taken care of. They had all the security. They made sure that Hamzat couldn't hit him. They were, made sure Sean couldn't hit him. They had control of the hands. And I think Sean was just at a point where I'm just going to talk shit. Hamzat was like, okay, I really, really, really want to do something to him. So we saw the kick. And I mean, that just goes to show that's how bad. Like when I saw that, of course, that Hamzat this isn't something that you can fake. Hamzat really wants to get to this guy. And yeah, the elevation of my excitement for this fight is just through the roof after seeing that.
All right, I got to walk you through my scenario with this press conference because I was working. I'm covering the Thunder Lakers series this week, obviously. So I was working covering this thing, and I'm kind of trying to follow on social media, and I've watched it, in full since then, but trying to kind of like follow what's happening on social media simultaneously. And all of a sudden I start seeing all these tweets about a kick, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Like, I'm getting really excited about the fight. And then out of nowhere, my timeline, I see Sean Strickland has a torn ACL from the kick. And then I see somebody else say like he's blown out his, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like, there was a level of panic that I'm just like, is this fight going to fall apart because of a face-off torn ACL or blown out knee or whatever? And there was like, and I couldn't like necessarily like figure out what the actual truth was. I'm just seeing some of these random tweets that people are retweeting, and I'm glad that didn't seem to be the case. But yeah, I had a short stretch on Thursday where panic was setting in that this fight may be called off and we may have a real issue on our hands.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say you're doing a great job covering this Thunder and Lakers series. What a I was about to say great, but lopsided series that we're seeing so far. But I was shocked to see that you had texted me, and I hadn't seen any of these tweets. So like you text me, you were like, "Did Strickland blow out his knee?" I was like,
I'm like,
no.
what is happening?
I was like, I don't think so. And then so I started, looking around, and then I was like I see what's going on. These people are just like starting up stuff. Like, you can't be so sure. So of course you have to do your due diligence.
Right.
I feel like you were obviously, you're at the game, so your mind's
Tied up,
here.
and got a bunch of work stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, let me do my research and see what's going on. So I was like, nah, I don't think this stuff is real.
Yeah. Thank God. That can you imagine? You get through this entire week with the hype right now, currently around this main event. If that happens, and like, I don't know, like the whole UFC community might demand that we cancel face-offs if that had happened, right? Like, everybody wants to see this fight, and if it were called off because of that, I mean, obviously things have happened in face-offs before, but not in a fight of this magnitude. Clearly, that could potentially,
Yeah, you talk about worst case scenario, man. Like, just the thought of it. Like, I wonder what the ramifications would have been for Hamzat, knowing that he's the one that caused it. You weren't supposed to touch him. You kick him, and then he blows out his knee. And then, like, what is Hamzat? Does he get stripped? Does he get fined? Does he get suspended? Like, what are the ramifications that happens to Hamzat? But luckily, none of that took place, and we're here. We get the fight. They both weighed in, and we're excited for tomorrow.
All right, so at last check, Khamzat Chimaev is a minus 575 favorite. Sean Strickland is a plus 425 underdog. Interestingly enough, Will, Sean Strickland was a bigger underdog in his win over Israel Adesanya. He was a plus 450 underdog, and Adesanya was a bigger favorite over Strickland than Khamzat. Adesanya was a minus 650 favorite over Sean Strickland. So from a betting standpoint, this wouldn't be a bigger upset than the Sean Strickland Israel Adesanya fight is. First of all, what is your gauge of what people think is going to happen in this fight?
Well, most of the people that I see are saying like, oh yeah, Hamzat's going to get this done in one round. It's going to be early. There's a lot of fans who really back Hamzat in this, but there are a few people who are coming with Sean Strickland makes this go long. He's going to force this to go long. He's going to stuff the takedowns. He's going to get this to the late stages, and then he's going to get a late stoppage or really come along in the championship rounds. So I have my personal opinion, but like when I look at what other people are saying, I think most people think Hamzat's going to walk away with this pretty easily, and then there's a few fans who just kind of are, aware of that other scenario of Sean Strickland being able to withstand the storm.
Yeah. All right. So where are you? What are we thinking here? Start the analysis process of what intrigues you most about this fight?
So I really think that Hamzat's going to get an early stoppage in this. I think that Hamzat, for one, Hamzat is just too big. I think Hamzat is like girth-wise, he's bigger than Sean Strickland. And then when he's obviously, his grip strength is just crazy. Once he gets a hold of you, like the way that Hamzat comes out in the first round, it's it's something that we just haven't seen before. It's Khabib-esque, but like Khabib would take his time more. But like when Hamza gets a hold of you, it's like it's not, like I said, it's something that we haven't seen before. He's looking to finish, and I think people are, because of the Dricus fight, I think people are starting to be like, okay, Hamzat might not be that guy anymore. But I think he was kind of like, okay, this is a 5-round fight. Let me take my foot off the gas. Like I remember Trevor Whitman would always tell Gaethje, like, you're trying to kill him. Take 10% off your shots. So with Hamzat, I feel like he was taking 20% out of his normal output that he would normally do against Dricus. And he lasted the full 25 minutes. I feel like he probably got tired there in the 5th. But
sure,
I think that with Sean Strickland, I think that the emotion is there. And I think he's going to try and finish this fight early and then talk his noise afterwards. I don't think Hamzat is trying to be in a long fight. And especially with the emotion, I don't think he's going to be like, I've got 5 rounds. I think he's going in there with the thought of, I'm going to finish this guy, kill this guy, smash this guy. I think that's the type of fighter that we're going to see. There's a lot of risks that come with that. But I truly think that Sean Strickland, he might stuff the first one, but he's got 5 minutes to work. If the first one doesn't go, I think he'll eventually get him down, and then he'll eventually be able to get a submission. I think this fight is going. I don't see this fight going past the 2nd round. But if anybody is going to be able to push, especially in this division, if anybody's going to be able to push Hamzat into the late fight and actually have some success, it's going to be Sean Strickland. So I'm aware that Sean Strickland does have a path to victory. I just think there's so much of a storm that he has to overcome that I'm not sure he's going to be able to overcome it.
First of all, for anybody to walk away from the Hamzat Dricus fight with questions about Hamzat is absurd. That was arguably as dominant a middleweight championship fight as we've ever seen, right? Like, fine, the last 5 minutes of the fight, it wasn't I mean, he was so far ahead. Like, he completely dominated Dricus, and it wasn't like it was a boring fight, right? Like, there was nothing entertaining about it because Hamzat was so dominant. I think looking back at Hamzat's UFC run, and correct me if I'm wrong, he has basically been like I'm going to take you down as soon as the bell rings and nothing is going to stop me guy, except for 2 fights. The only 2 fights that he didn't, off the top of my head, were Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, both welterweights, right? Like, probably like fights that he felt like, hey, this is where I can maybe show off, my stand-up game and my striking and all that. But against legit middleweights, he hasn't taken that risk at all against anybody, has he? Like, it's literally been like the bell rings and he is going to take you down as quickly as humanly possible.
Well, I'll say, like, he was able to get early takedowns against Usman. He was able to get early takedowns against Gilbert, and he did try to finish them. I think Gilbert was more of a tricky puzzle because, like, you can't really play with Gilbert on the ground. So I think Hamzat was more willing to stand up. And Usman is just he said that he had a lot of respect for Usman, and I don't think he was just like really trying to submit him like that. So I think there was just an element of respect that he had, that he was just like, okay, let me not smash this guy like I've done it to everyone else. Because like when you go off of those 2 performances, you think like, okay, if this guy does X, Y, Z, he's going to be able to have success. But then like people were so confident that Robert Whitaker was going to beat Hamzat. I was just like, man, like I see the path, but like I'm not sure. Like I had a lot of questions about this Robert Whitaker fight. Hamzat completely, I think he exceeded everyone's expectations with what he did against Robert Whitaker. That guy is still there. Like Hamzat hasn't, like that guy still exists. So I firmly believe that he's going to be looking to do that same thing against Sean Strickland. And I'm just not sure that Sean Strickland is going to be able to do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland, he's very defensively sound. He's very defensively responsible, especially with his strikes. but I just don't think he's seen anything like what Hamzat's going to bring to the table.
Yeah. I think you used the right word there. Willingness. There was more of a willingness to stand up with those two guys who are, from a lower weight class than he has against any 185er, because any middleweight that he has fought, literally when the bell rings, like his only goal is to get that person down within like 5 seconds, right? Like there is just like this, I'm
Yeah,
going to run through a wall and I'm getting this guy down immediately and not taking any risk of anything else happening. Sometimes I think you can prevent somebody's aggressiveness in that way with having, the one shot power. That's not what Sean Strickland is known
that's
for.
not
So if Hamzat is like dead set on, I'm going to go in and take him down, I doubt that Hamzat is going to respect Sean Strickland's one punch power to try and, Strickland does have those front kicks though, that is an interesting part of his defense, and I think a very underrated aspect of his defense. But I mean, to your point, like when Hamza goes into a fight, and every fight that we've seen him have this mentality of I'm going to get you down, like there's nothing you can do to prevent him from getting to you.
right. There's
Short of
nothing you
hitting
can
him
do.
with a big punch that's going to, knock him out or at least stun him enough to make him back up.
Yeah, and Strickland just doesn't have that. And for as good as he is, and Strickland is very skilled, his performance against Fluffy was outstanding. It was great. He was able to stuff all of those takedowns, and he never got into a position where Fluffy could trap him and get him up against the fence and anything like that. So like I loved his game plan against Fluffy. So like I think people are seeing that performance and they have hope. Like I'm not gonna say he has no hope, because Strickland
Sure.
we obviously know he's a champion. Like his cardio is unmatched, but that storm that's coming to him that first 5 minutes, especially with this emotional wave that Hamzat is on right now, I just don't know that Sean Strickland's going to be able to do anything to stop Hamzat from getting in, unless he just, like you said, unless he just finds a shot out of nowhere and just is able to flatline Hamzat. I know Hamzat's not going to respect his power. I know he's going to go in and try to get this fight to the ground. And from what we've seen, there's not anything that Sean Strickland's going to be able to do.
There's a big difference, I think, with somebody that wants to, strategically find an opening to take you down, and like a blitzing linebacker that is coming at you
Yeah,
regardless of what's going to happen, right? Like most of the time in the UFC, you see somebody that wants to get a takedown, they're going to be strategic about when they try to get that done. That is not what Hamzat does. Hamzat is a blitzing linebacker or defensive end that when the ball is snapped, he is coming for the quarterback's head, and nobody, like, consequences be damned, right? Like he's not concerned about somebody hitting him with a big shot. He is coming for you. It's not I'm going to wait for my opening. Like he's like, I am just going to come take you down. And that's like the big difference, I think, where Sean Strickland has terrific takedown defense, but we've never seen him have to defend somebody that is going to blitz him essentially the way that I think Hamzat is going to. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Hamzat is more cautious in this fight. I would be absolutely stunned if
I don't
Hamzat
see
was
it.
cautious in this fight or didn't come after him immediately. Like, remember the Kevin Holland fight? Like, Kevin Holland's
Yeah,
trying to like high five, and Hamzat's going for like diving in for the takedown. Like, that's what I expect to happen as soon as the bell rings on Saturday night. I expect the bell to ring, and Hamzat is charging forward and in Sean Strickland's face immediately. So, again, he does have great takedown defense, but we've never seen him, I think, tested by somebody that is approaching it in that way.
now the other side of this is, if he does, like Hamzat is so emotional, like we saw it throughout the presser. If he goes in there and he's overly emotional and he kind of just like has like a emotional dump, like an adrenaline dump, like he's going to fatigue faster than he already would.
Right.
And like that's where Sean Strickland's path becomes very, very open, very, very clear. If he's able to withstand that early storm, and then even after the first round, because it will be a storm, if he's able to withstand that, get back into the corner, and then we start back on our feet, and then Hamza has to do that all over again. It's not going to be the same type of storm that we saw in the first round. It's going to be diminished. So if I'm just not sure that Sean Strickland can withstand the storm, but if he does, this fight's going to become real
Yeah.
interesting if he's able to get this fight past the second, past the third. By the fourth round, I think Hamzat's going to be spent. Like all of the elements that go into a fight, plus the emotional stuff that's been going on this week. There's definitely a path, but I just don't think Sean Strickland's going to make it to see the other side of that storm.
I've seen some people this week suggest that Sean Strickland needs to be the one moving forward and putting pressure on Hamzat and, wearing him down, which, like, in a perfect world, that sounds great. And I think that's probably true if this fight gets past the first round. And you are talking about, like Sean Strickland being able to defend takedowns, and then you start to wear on the gas tank of Hamzat Chimaev. But if you are going to, I think, put yourself at risk of being taken down to be the pursuer in the first round, to me, that would be unbelievably reckless against a guy that, again, I think we both believe is just going to blitz you immediately trying to get that takedown.
Yeah, I don't see Sean Strickland being the aggressor. I think that, especially early, I think we see the one thing that I think Sean Strickland is going to do different is I don't think he's going to be as active in the first round. I think normally he kind of comes on as the fight goes anyway, but I think first round is going to be all defense. Like he's going to sell out for defense, whether that's stuffing the takedowns, whether that's, staying, clean on the feet. He's going to be very defensively, I think overly defensively responsible to try to withstand the storm. And he's not going to be throwing anything. He's not going to be moving forward. He's going to be moving obviously, but he's not going to be like pursuing Hamzat. He's going to make Hamzat come to him. He's going to make Hamzat try to catch him. He's going to continue to move. So that's his best path in the first round, just to, don't try to do anything. Don't try to overextend because Hamzat's going to get you down. Don't try to make any, sudden movements on the ground because that's what Hamzat's going to be looking for. And he's going to, get his neck, get his arm, whatever opportunity Hamzat sees on the ground, he's going to take. So, yeah, I definitely see Strickland to be very defensively responsible in the early stages of the fight, but I definitely don't see him being the guy that's going to be pursuing.
If I were to tell you that we get through the first round and Hamzat Chimaev has been unsuccessful taking down Sean Strickland, and you get to change your pick for this fight, like at that point, are you switching your pick, or do you think it's still just a matter of time for Hamzat?
Now, in round 2, I'm not switching my pick.
Okay.
If we get to round 3, I think my pick would really switch because I think at that point the explosiveness of Hamzat will be down. I think Sean Strickland will start to pick at him a little bit with those front kicks that you talked about, with his jab. If he's able to start getting that jab going, especially as Hamzat gets tired, then we're talking about a completely different fight. And then if he's able to consistently stuff takedowns, I mean, like I said, this is going to be a completely different fight, and all of the momentum will be on the side of Sean Strickland.
Because I think Hamzat is going to be so aggressive immediately. I would think very seriously if it got past the first 5 minutes without a takedown of switching my answer, because I don't know if it would take 2 full rounds because of the level of emotion and aggressiveness. Like that first 5 minutes might be enough to give Strickland such a big edge in terms of like energy, gas tank, all that I would really consider it. And that's when Sean can start doing his damage, right? That's when he can start,
right,
walking you down and just beating you up with that jab and those front kicks and doing what Sean Strickland does. But again, you just got to, I'm with you. You got to survive that first round. You have to counter whatever he's going to bring to you. And you have to be, the most defensively aggressive, I guess is the way to put it, that you've ever been. Like if he is going forward with the intention of like hitting Hamzat with big shots, to me, that is just like such a come take me down invite. Like,
right.
This is wild to me. I don't even understand why that would be somebody's game plan against somebody that, again, in Hamzat Chimaev just is like an all out blitzer more often than not. If Sean Strickland wins this, will you be more or less shocked than when Sean Strickland beat Israel Adesanya?
That's a good question. I think I'd be more shocked. I was pretty shocked when he beat Izzy for sure. I remember we did a show, and at the very end of it, I said we might be living in a world where Sean Strickland might be UFC champion, and I was joking. And then the next show we did, Sean Strickland was the champion. But yeah, with just how Hamzat has been so dominant, we've barely seen him in any trouble. I just don't see, like, of course I see the path for Sean Strickland, but I just don't think that Sean Strickland's the guy that's going to do it. But yeah, I would be surprised, especially if he withstands that storm, and then he's the guy that's walking Hamzat down after all these fights of Hamzat just completely going through guys, to see Sean Strickland. Because if Sean Strickland beats Chimaev, it's going to be because Hamzat's broken. Hamzat has nothing left. Hamzat is completely spent. So to see Hamzat on that side, I think would be completely shocking.
I know we had this conversation after the Strickland Adesanya fight, in terms of like greatest upsets ever. Is this something you would have a conversation about with Sean? If Sean Strickland wins, is this a let's talk about where this ranks in the greatest like championship upsets ever?
Yeah, I think we'd be talking about it for sure. But, of course, there's been so many great ones that it probably would fall in like the top 5 or so.
Yeah,
But
I'm not saying like we
obviously,
crown it, but I'm saying it's worthy of at
Oh,
least having the conversation
absolutely.
being ranked,
It's definitely in the
somewhere in
conversation.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely in the conversation because like Hamzat's undefeated. We haven't seen him lose. We haven't even seen him in much trouble. So for him to absolutely just like lose this fight and Sean Strickland to be that guy to do it, and let's not like Sean Strickland, this is his third. He beat Adesanya and then he lost to Dricus twice. So we've seen him lose. We haven't seen Hamzat lose. We haven't seen him really have much adversity. So for Sean Strickland to do that, it would be crazy.
Are you going to make a prop bet on whether or not there's going to be a glove touch?
Oh, I wonder if Sean Strickland would actually like just put his fist out there, just kind of mess with him.
That would be hilarious.
I think Sean Strickland's cut from that cloth to just kind of, play with his head a little bit and just try to just do it just to see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on, last one. After this fight ends, is there going to be any high-fiving, handshake, any sort of like, I give it up to this guy? Like, is there going to be any of that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there's like a 2% chance. And I think that 2% comes from if we see a 5-round war to the point where like they've both earned each other's respect, to the point where I don't even think it's going to be like a hug. Maybe it's just going to be like a little glove touch or something like that. But if we see a fight of the year, Hall of Fame fight type thing, then I think we might see. And like I said, I give it a slim chance at that. But that's probably the only way.
Yeah, I would be incredibly disappointed, I think, if. And I'm not saying like I'm not in favor of people being bad sports and all that. Like I like it. I think more often than not when it's like, look, I got to give it up to the guy. Like he was great, blah, blah, blah. But to talk the amount of shit that these two guys have talked,
Oh, yeah.
and to say the things that these two guys have said, if they're dapping it up after this fight and like, I'd be like, what did we just go through?
Yeah. Yeah. Why, like, how do we get to this point where you guys are basically talking about shooting each other and all this stuff? And now we're just like, bro, like, yeah,
man, great fight. Like, yeah. Please.
Yeah. I can understand.
Again, like if it's a fight of the year, okay.
Yeah.
Like that's
where these
that's
guys
big.
Just like left it out there, and these guys tried to kill each other in the ring, and then at the end of it, they're just like, "Hey, you're pretty tough. Like that was a good fight." But if it's just like somebody gets an early finish or someone's dominant, and then there's a handshake, then it's just like, "Yeah, what are we doing?"
Yeah, I would prefer to not see that. All right, co-main event, flyweight championship, Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira. Taira's actually the favorite in this. This is a fun fight. Obviously, Josh Van has the title in a very odd way, and it kind of feels like it's the first, big moment for both of these guys, given the circumstance of Van's win over Pantoja. But I think stylistically, this is a very fun matchup.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the main event, just without all the extra stuff. We know what Tyra's going to do. Tyra wants to grapple, get him to the ground, and land strikes on the ground. Even get try to finish the fight. And Van is on the feet. He's one of the best strikers that we have in the game right now. So it's a very fun matchup. Whose style is going to overwhelm the other? I kind of think with this fight, Van obviously won the title. How he won it with the injury to Pantoja. Tyra's looked pretty incredible. I think he's only got one loss, and I think he's got like 8 UFC fights. So he's been on a great run. But let me say this about Van. Normally, when someone becomes a champion, there's a fight that they have that in the lead up to them becoming a champion. There's a fight that they have where you just go, okay, that guy can be a champion. And normally it's against a guy that you overcome the guy that has a style that's not, stylistically pleasing to you. So I was real curious to see what Van was going to do against Pantoja, because I don't think that Van has had that fight. Like he fought Brandon Royval. Royval is ranked number 1, but that was a stylistically like great matchup for Van. Like that's why it was such a great fight. Like these guys just stood up and had one of the great striking battles of that year. I think that was the fight of the year. So with him not seeing that, it makes me just curious on what would happen if he's fighting a guy who's looking to take him down, is not looking to strike with him. I think Pantoja would have took him down, and he's just so seasoned on the ground. Like I don't know if Van has the experience to be able to withstand what Pantoja brings to the table. And then with Tyra's he's big for the division, and we saw what he did to Brandon Moreno. I'm just not sure if Van has the defense. Like I haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying that he can't, but I just haven't seen it. So I'm very curious to see how Van approaches this fight, what he's going to look like.
What was your take when Van said that he caused the injury? Because obviously, like, nobody wants to win a belt in that way. And I think the way that people handle those things also it plays a tremendous role in what fan support looks like going forward. When something that's not ideal happens like that, what was your take?
I think he had to tell himself something to and he had to stand on it to really make himself believe like he's the champion. But he's the champion. Nobody can take that away from him. He got his hand raised. He got the belt wrapped around his waist. For him to say that he caused it, I think that's what's making him, sleep with I'm the champion. Like no one can take this away from me. Me personally, I guess in a way, like he did cause it because he caught the kick.
Sure.
But he wasn't like, okay, if I catch this kick and then I push him down, his arm's gonna break. Like in that case,
it's kind of dumb luck. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like you didn't do that. So he did cause it by catching the kick and making Pantoja balance on one leg and then and Pantoja fell the way he fell. But and to say that was my intention, which was kind of what people may be getting from him saying that I caused it, that was my intention to cause him to break his arm. Yeah, I'm not rocking with that. But it's kind of like with the Aljo thing, how he took that knee and then people were like, "Oh, you're not a real champion." Aljo stood on it. He was just yeah, that happened. I'm the champion.
Yeah,
I kind of think
he
it's
also kind of paid
thing.
a consequence for that, right? In some way.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. He definitely paid a consequence. But
yeah.
just with Van, I think he's just saying I believe I'm a champion and nobody can take this away from me. So that I in that aspect, I respect it. But I don't believe he caused it.
Yeah. All right. We have heavyweights on this main card: Alexander Volkov and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Maybe Acosta is one of the hopes of saving this heavyweight division. With a win here, obviously it puts him in tremendous spot to be a title contender. with a loss. Like, I think you're probably having the same conversations about the heavyweight division we've been having for a while. All that said, Volkov is the favorite, but this is stylistically a fight that should end in somebody getting finished, you would think.
Yeah, but there's also a path that um, that Cortez Acosta could take that many have before, and that's get Volkov to the ground and try to ground and pound. Because we haven't seen Volkov offered much resistance to getting taken down, and I'm not saying that Waldo is some great wrestler, some great grappler, but I just think that
How many career takedowns does Waldo have, by the way?
uh, not many. But I mean,
Does he
we've
have it?
seen
Does he
him.
have any? Off the top
He's
of my
got
head, I
some.
can't. He does.
He's got some, but
Okay.
it's not like he's just like going forward and going after the takedowns like that. I think he took down Derek Lewis, which isn't that hard of a thing to do either. But with Volkov, I just don't think that he's offering much resistance. But like you said, both these guys, what they like to do is strike. Volkov is one of the best at it. He's super skilled. I think he's got many advantages over Waldo, and I wonder how Waldo is going to approach this gigantic mountain of a man, 6'7", 6'8". He's been knocking out a lot of his previous opponents, but like,
Yeah.
how are you going to find that shot against a guy like Volkov? So there's a reason. I see the reason why Volkov is the favorite. I think there's a lot to like with Volkov when he's on the feet, but if I were Waldo, I would definitely look towards taking this fight to the ground. But we'll see what happens.
Where is the winner of this positioned in the heavyweight division?
It's so tough to know, because I think Volkov is just in a terrible spot regardless. Because if he wins this, he already lost to Gon, he already lost to Aspinall, and then nobody's clamoring to see Volkov fight for the
Right.
title. And so with Waldo, he's a fresh matchup, and he's been really making his case for a title shot. I think this is his. I think I saw the stat that this is his 8th fight in 12 months, which is insane, especially as a heavyweight. So I think that Waldo has more of a case, and he's got more momentum. So if he's able to get the victory, I definitely see him as someone who can get a title shot. Now, will he get the title shot? I don't know. I think that like the winner of Derek Lewis and Josh Hokett has more of a chance to get a title shot than the winner of this fight.
You think Derek Lewis is getting a title shot with a win over Hokett?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would not be surprised. You get a victory at the White House, you got Trump on your side, and and Derek Lewis get to win at that event. I would not be surprised to see him.
Well, that also says something about the state of that division, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. All right. I want to get your thoughts on this Sean Brady Joaquin Buckley fight, because if you had asked me before I actually looked at the odds who I thought the favorite would be in this fight, I would have said Buckley. Sean Brady
Really?
is the betting favorite. I usually feel like most of the time I like blind am good at picking which guy is going to be the favorite in a fight. I may not have the odds very close, but I'm usually pretty good about knowing which guy's going to be favored to win. But I was definitely wrong on this one. Obviously, both guys coming off a loss. Buckley to Kamaru Usman, and Brady to, was it Michael Morales?
Yeah. So both guys are coming off of those losses, and they're fighting like pretty similar styles to what they've just seen. Like Brady just losing to Morales, like who's got this big power and this big explosion. That's kind of what Buckley brings to the table. And then Buckley just losing to Usman. Like we know the wrestling pedigree that Brady brings to the table. So I think this is a good fight for both guys to come back to see where they're really at. This is a win that both guys need, because this division is just, it continues to get better. There's more prospects coming in, guys jockeying for position there at the top. So this is a must win for both guys. I'm really curious because Buckley, after losing that fight to Usman, I was really scared for Usman in that fight because, Usman's getting older. He had lost 3 in a row. He had come off a long layoff, and Buckley had looked really, really good. But Usman just did what he normally does, just gets this fight to the ground. And Buckley didn't really have an answer, and I was pretty surprised at that. But Buckley, to his credit, after that fight, he went out and he trained with Usman. It seems like he's been doing a lot of wrestling to address that. And I'm really curious to see what his wrestling looks like, because it will be tested with Sean Brady. On the other hand, same thing with Sean Brady. Michael Morales is a tank of a man. Like,
Yeah.
Michael Morales is gigantic for a welterweight. I don't really see how he makes it. So part of me wants to give him a little bit of a pass, because like there was a lot of disadvantages that Sean Brady had.
Buckley's also pretty big welterweight, right? I mean, he's a former middleweight.
Yeah, he is. But I'm just saying, like, Morales had the height, plus he's massive. Like, Buckley he's big, but like he's not
more
very
compact.
Tall. So I think that kind of works into Brady's favor a little bit more. And I think Brady has a path to victory after seeing what Usman did. So yeah, we'll see what adjustments both guys have made in their training and all that in this fight, because it's a big one at welterweight.
Sometimes I think you could watch a fight and you can walk away from it saying, like, even though this guy lost, like, I think he's going to be better going forward for having gone through that. I know I felt that way about Carlos Prates at the end of the Gary Prates fight. I was like,
for sure,
Prates is going to be so much better for having gone through that fight and experiencing that. I also felt that way about the end of the Buckley Usman fight. Like, when that fight ended, I was like, this is really good for Buckley. Like, he is going to be a much better fighter for having gone through that. I didn't feel that way about Brady after Michael Morales. In fact, you probably feel a little more devastated about where he might be after a fight like that. But yeah, I felt like Buckley still is has a lot there. The ceiling is still much higher, and I don't know. That's a very interesting matchup to me, and I'm very curious to see how that one plays out. The main card starts with Jeremy Stevens, and I always want to call him Bobby King Green, but he has officially changed his name like a few years ago to just King Green. So
King Green,
despite my best effort to continue to call him Bobby King Green, King Green, Jeremy Stevens to kick off the main card.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about the other day. We were talking about how Dan Hooker said that veterans don't really get matched up, but we've been seeing it a lot more lately. We've been seeing, like, we just saw Cub Swanson and Nate Landwehr. We've seen more veterans fight each other. So this is a great fight. King Green, we obviously know what he brings to the table. Jeremy Stevens is a guy that's just going to want to stand up. So I expect this to be fireworks. I expect King Green to bring out his antics. He's going to talk noise to him. And Jeremy Stevens, he's not really much of a talker, but he just throws his hands. He's just going to be swinging. So I'm very curious to see how King Green, he's going to get hit. Like, is he still able to take those shots? Because I remember when he fought Drew Dober, he was winning that fight. He was kind of styling on Drew Dober for a while, and then Dober just put him out with a big punch. I kind of see this fight going similarly. Like, I think King Green is the better fighter. He's the better guy. But if he gets caught by a big puncher like Jeremy Stevens, he could get put out. But King Green has looked great. He just beat what's that kid's name that he just beat? Oh gosh, I'm normally good at this.
Did he beat? I'm trying to remember.
He fought on the Sphere card. Zellhuber, Daniel Zellhuber. Yeah, he just beat him, and he got another one. I think against Lance Gibson, maybe. But yeah, King Green's looked good as of late. And he's a guy that's kind of been hanging around like the top 15 for a long time. So I still expect him to be the better guy, but he just has to watch that power.
Yeah. All right. On the main card, underdog most likely to win. Your underdogs, by the way, are Sean Strickland, Joshua Van, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Joaquin Buckley, and Jeremy Stevens.
Easily, I'd say Joaquin Buckley. I think he's probably got the best chance. we know the pedigree of Sean Brady with his wrestling, but like you said, there's a ceiling that Joaquin Buckley has. He was winning. He had won, I think, like 6 in a row after coming down from middleweight. So I think there's a world where Sean Brady isn't able to get him down, and this fight stays standing. The advantages go to Buckley. So definitely Buckley, I would put at 1. But I think there's a world where Waldo Cortez Acosta gets this done as well. So those are my main 2 right there.
All right. Prelims. You want to throw out any fights that stand out to you?
Oh yes, bro. Joel Alvarez and Yaroslav Amosov is going to be a great fight. That's one of my contenders for fight of the night. I think that Amosov is a guy at welterweight who's going to be really. You have to keep your eye out on him, and same with Joel Alvarez. I mean, he was out lightweight for a while, but the move up to 170 has been really good for him. I think this is a great fight, but of course, we got to talk about our guy Grant Dawson, friend of Fight Bananas, obviously. So Grant Dawson has all the tools to be a champion, and I think we've both said that for a long time about Grant Dawson. He's got a great record. He's just come up short in some, he came up short against Torres and he came up short against King Green, but the potential, the ceiling is very high for him. His wrestling, his striking, his overall game, it's really, really solid.
I mean, you got to cut him some slack, Will. He's in the toughest division in the UFC, so
he's at 170. Did he move up?
I wasn't going to miss my opportunity to pound my chest for 155, but yeah, go ahead.
So. Yeah. Well, we have to admit, Grant Dawson is one of those guys at lightweight, especially in the lower of the ranks, who's got tons of potential. So, but this fight with Mateusz Rebecki is going to be he's going to get tested in this one.
Yeah.
But I think this is a fight that he's going to shine in. I think I see that him to win. But as far as prelims, those are my 2.
Yeah. Jim Miller, Jared Gordon, I think could be, both guys that have been around for a long time.
More vets fighting each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be fun. To your point about Grant Dawson and Rebecki, I mean, I feel like both of these guys are in what is, again, my favorite division in the UFC. Like, you have so many like mainstays in that division, in the rankings. Like, these guys to me are just right on that cusp, right? And this is going to be a big fight for the winner either way to sort of break through and get another opportunity, to move back up. So that's a really interesting one.
Yeah. So look, I think Grant Dawson, like when you stack him up with these guys in the top 10 and the top 5 or whatever, I see a world where Grant Dawson could potentially beat a lot of these guys. So this is a big one. Like, he's only slipped up against those 2 that I said earlier, and then that rookie Glenn fight, I thought he clearly won. It was close, but I thought he won. But then they said it was a draw. But there's just a lot of potential with him, and then just with the rest of these prelims with Jim Miller and Jared Gordon, and then Joel Alvarez and Amosov, and then you got Atiba Gauthier. Like, this guy, I think that he's got to be related to Francis Ngannou in some capacity. Like, I don't know if they're second, third cousins or something, but I mean, he's just like a miniature version of him. And
I think he's like minus 1,400 to win, Will.
I think that's a low number.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's a low number. I fully expect him to go out there and make it look easy like he did. And I think he showed a lot. He got extended to a decision in his last fight. And I don't think he looked rattled at all. It didn't look like he got tired at all. So once again, I expect him to look pretty good in this one, but yeah, he's a favorite for a reason. Let's say that.
All right. Not including the main event, give me your top 3 candidates for fight of the night.
Not including the main event. Top 3.
Because, I mean, obviously cards are built around the main event. So every week you could just say the main event is it. And clearly, so try to give a different look.
Okay.
Outside of just what, the known quantity is for everyone.
So stylistically, I think that King Green and Jeremy Stevens that's got to be one of the fights that I name. These are two guys. They're veterans, and they're going to go at it. I think you got to put um, Joel Alvarez and Rambecki, or not Rambecki, Joel Alvarez and Amasov in there.
Okay.
And then I think you got to go. Do I put the heavyweights in it? No, I'm kidding. And there's a world where I think that Van and Tyra could be fun, but I think I'm gonna put in Grant Dawson and Rembecki. Those are my three.
All right, official pick, main event, Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland. Chimaev minus 575 favorite, plus 425 underdog for the former middleweight champion, Sean Strickland.
Now, I'm just going to say I would not be too surprised if Strickland withstood the storm and was able to extend Khamzat into the third and fourth round and get a late finish, or is just able to come on to the point where he's able to win a decision. That wouldn't completely shock me.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be completely shocked, but I just don't think that Strickland's going to survive the first round. I think Khamzat's going to kind of do similarly to what he did with Robert Whitaker, and I think he's just going to be too much, and he's going to get a finish in the first round.
I'm kind of there with you. I just think it's going to be an all-out blitz as soon as the bell rings, and it's going to be a takedown. And if it's not a finish, it's going to be just such a ragdoll 5 minutes that maybe the finish is right around the corner in round two, or it just becomes something that's so completely boring, like the Drickus fight, where it's just like so dominant, and you don't feel like there's any chance that the tide is gonna be turned. So I would love to be wrong. I would love to see that like sort of like blitzing mentality, and I would love to see Sean Strickland be able to like fend that off and turn this into an extended fight. And then whichever way it goes, I don't really care. I would love to see Khamzat approach a fight with that sort of takedown determination, and for it to be at least defended and him pushed in that way. Because the only time we've seen him pushed were the two fights we mentioned earlier, where there was more of a willingness from him to stand, as opposed to our expectation in this fight, where it's going to be totally like he wants this to be on the mat. So that's what I want to see out of this fight. I don't think it's going to happen. And if I had to pick what is going to happen, I'm with you. I think it's a first round finish, but we'll see, man. I think when you add this level of emotion and hatred and all those other things, like it throws the X's and O's, so to speak, out the window to a degree. Like to manage like your adrenaline and all that stuff. Like these guys aren't like PlayStation characters where you're not worried, where it's all like under your control. Like they're human beings, and those are real factors. So I'll be curious to see how much that maybe plays into this fight.
Yeah, I think the emotion that Khamzat's going to come into this fight with is something that we haven't really seen before. I think we saw it a little bit with Kevin Holland, and I think that's why like he just went right after him. I think just that whole week was just crazy for him, and I think this week is even crazier than that fight week was. So I fully expect Khamzat to, just like you said, all out blitz, get a hold of him and take him down and submit him. But there's that chance. Like, what if Sean Strickland's able to survive that?
Yeah.
Like, I truly think that Khamzat's gonna like really like kind of dump out his tank in the first 10 minutes, and then as the rounds go on, Sean Strickland could have a path there, but that storm he has to weather is going to be crazy.
Just to let you know, I will unfortunately I will be watching this fight card starting at approximately 1 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Goodness.
Because, the sports gods hate me and have lined up the game that I have to cover on Saturday night, the Thunder and Lakers, at the exact same start time as UFC 328. So I just decided I'm going to I'm going to shut down any sort of communication with notifications on social media apps or anything where I could find out the
You're you're
outcomes
you're
of
you're
this fight card, and I'm gonna avoid with blinders this fight card until 1 a.m. and then I'm gonna separate and isolate myself from the world and watch it as if it's live, probably beginning around 1 a.m.
so you're gonna block me. You're going to block me.
I'm not gonna block you. I'm just my phone is gonna be on airplane mode. So
Yeah, as it
yeah.
should. But yeah, Thunder Lakers game 3 plus UFC 328. If you had the, if
Like,
you
can we not get an
were,
afternoon tip off so we can have Saturday night for the UFC? Like, that
yeah,
only feels right.
yeah, like on a Saturday, bro. Like, what are we doing? We can't have a
Yeah.
2:30. Like, I thought that would have been perfect. But I just got to know before we go, if you did have the opportunity, you got NBA playoffs, Thunder Lakers, or UFC 328. Which one are you gonna watch?
UFC 328. Because there will be better fights than the Lakers will put up against the Thunder.
I was just about to say that. And then coming from me, like, and obviously you, like, you've been a fan of the NBA for a long time. Like, basketball is like all I know. Well, but like, of course, I love MMA. But man, I would be putting this fight on the big screen, and Thunder Lakers is going to have to be on the phone or on the laptop
Yeah.
or something else. Like, I had
Yeah.
to put these fights up because these fights are going to be amazing.
If I wasn't covering the game, that would be my scenario. I would be watching the Thunder Lakers game probably at 1 a.m. and UFC would be consumed in real time. But I got to pay the bills, man.
Okay. Now, last thing. Now, I know next weekend we might be in the same similar type of boat, especially you. So, like, if the NBA playoffs were on and the MVP Netflix Rousey versus Carano cards is on, which one are you gonna watch?
Playoffs. And I don't feel bad about it. Like, I'll watch that the next day, man. Like, that's not one of those things that I like. There are certain events, and I would say UFC 328 is one of these, where like you want to watch it in real time if humanly possible. And unfortunately for me, because of work, there's just no way I can do it. So I am making the choice to like isolate myself from all outside communication so I can actually consume it like I am watching it live. There are also things that I will watch that I don't really give a damn about finding out the outcomes and like, scheduling my day and life around a start time and that MVP card, it doesn't move the needle enough for me to like alter my life plans to make sure I'm sitting in front of the screen at the moment that thing starts. I can watch that the next day and be totally satisfied. UFC 328, if I didn't have anything going on, would be one that I tell everybody, like, sorry, I can't make plans on Saturday night. I have to watch this fight card.
Yeah, I think that we're getting to the point now where the UFC is starting to put out their heavy hitters in terms of fight cards, because like I haven't really heard much of anything about this Netflix card. Of course, like the UFC had some weeks where it was kind of struggling a little bit, kind of going through the motions, but like now we've got the White House card coming up. We've got potentially Conor McGregor coming back, and then we've got this bad blood of a fight with Hamzat and Strickland. So yeah, I think this MVP on Netflix card is just the anticipation is just going down and down and down.
It'll be a Sunday replay watch for me. Yeah.
Well, I will give it a chance, and I will watch it live.
I'm giving it a chance too on Sunday.
But look, if the NBA playoffs is on, of course it's going on the big screen.
Yeah, there you go. It's not going to go. That one will be consumed in some way, but probably not in real time, and certainly not up against anything else on the big TV. So
there's that.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it, but
come on, man, that's your most anticipated fight card of the year.
Yes, which is why I'm going to wait till Sunday to watch it.
Ugh.
And you know what? Depending on the reviews that social media gives me on Saturday night, I shouldn't say I am going to watch it because there is that realistic
Oh,
world where the
yeah.
reviews on Saturday night are like, this card sucks. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, so you're gonna look at the reviews. You're gonna actually
Well, I'm
like
not saying I'm
click
going
on
to
the
look at
review.
them, but if there's just an overwhelming amount of like, this card sucks ass type of tweets on my timeline, then I
I
may
think
like
we'll get.
actually tune in to see like what the production elements maybe look like. But
I think we'll get like 50-50. I don't have very high expectations for the fights themselves, but I think like everything
right,
else, like what it looks
right.
like, all that stuff is interesting. But I think the fights themselves, I don't think they're going to deliver.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but who knows? I mean, once upon a time, nobody thought Sean Strickland would beat Israel Adesanya, and it happened. And now maybe Sean Strickland can do the unthinkable once again on Saturday night. See how I brought it back to the
Yeah, that was
yeah.
that was
There you
good.
go.
That was
There you go.
that was chef's kiss.
All right, my man. 328 Saturday night. I am geeked for this fight card. We will have a lot to discuss next week, and don't be surprised if at 4 in the morning I'm now at the main event and I'm texting you things because I'm finally experiencing it for the first time and getting really excited about what may or may not happen. So just be ready for that.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be looking at my phone like, what the heck is wrong with this dude?
Why is he
Like,
texting me
why
at
is he
4
texting
a.m.?
me at
This thing
4?
ended 6 hours ago.
Yeah. But all right, man. UFC 328 gonna be a good one, brother.
All right, everybody have a great weekend.